Hello, everyone, and welcome to Camera Club of Richmond Spotlights. This is our very first video spotlight that we're doing, and we're glad that you're with us. My name is Karen Davis, and I'm the publicity director for the club. Today, our special guest is David Everette. David's a professional photographer who lives here in Richmond, Virginia, and he's been a longtime friend of the Camera Club. He's done lots of evaluations and trainings and feedback for us over the years, and we thought he would be a good one to start with for our spotlight. So David, thank you for joining us, and we're excited to get to know you a little bit better. That's all this really is. So maybe give us a little bit more background. You know, we know you live in Richmond now, but I believe you grew up in Richmond also, and I believe a Virginia Commonwealth University graduate.
Yes, with a degree in law enforcement, believe it or not.
Okay. And that's always a great question in my mind, is how people get from point A to point B. So how did you start out? How did you get from there to photography?
Uh, I started photography when I was 20 years old, really, and it was I started shooting in what I call the rock garden, which is down below the tower, the apartment buildings over on Riverside Drive, right at the end of Belvedere.
Mhm.
You're familiar with it, the Lee Bridge. Right underneath that, the river doesn't flow most of the time. It's basically a big rocky garden. And that's where I started photographing, was all along there,
Okay.
because it was easy access to walk down to and walk along and photograph. So I found my first shot was of a great blue heron that really got me excited, and I'd had no idea what the heck that bird was. And this was back in 1970. So I believe that was like the beginning of the herons on the river, because I had not seen anything like that until that day. And I went back the next day and saw him again, and it turned out it's a juvenile great blue heron that I got like three really good shots of out of a roll of 20. So the rest of them were trash. So not a great percentage that first.
Well, that's okay. We know about that. So as you said, a roll of 20. So this is back in film days, right?
Of course it was.
Of
Yes,
course.
I started way back then.
And so what year was that you went full time into photography?
I didn't really go into photography full time until I was like 28, 29, somewhere in that neighborhood, and
Uh-huh.
did the traditional route of weddings and portraiture and stuff like that, some for local professional studios and things like that, and doing weddings and the stuff I hated and that kind of stuff. And all along, I was starting to do my nature and landscape work, and did that all through my 20s and into the early 30s. And then I bought a little place called PhotoWorks that was down in the Fan District, and ran that for years, and uh, turned it into a full-fledged photo lab. And then in 1990, the economy went bust, and so did I.
Okay. Reinventing yourself once again.
Yeah,
Cool.
it's been an ongoing theme with me.
No, you told me earlier there was a special photo that I believe you said was very meaningful to you, that you took of a lily. Tell us the story about that photo.
That was at what was the boat pond at Bird Park, where the fountain is. And they used to have those little boats you could ride around and paddle boat, I think they called them. They also had lilies growing in the pond. And that's where that shot came from. And that shot became my first ever entry into a competition. And that was with the Richmond Camera Club. And that would have been in the 1970s. So that long ago, I knew of y'all.
And I believe you said you made it into the publication that they put together of all the
Right.
best of the best.
The catalog, yes. And
Catalog. Okay.
that got me excited. I
Yeah.
never won anything or gotten awarded anything, and I consider that an award just to get into the publication. So,
Uh-huh. Well, absolutely. Yeah, exactly. So as you said, you've reinvented yourself and you've evolved a little bit into a lot of nature. And I think when we think of David Everett, we think of nature photography and landscapes and the tree. You have to tell us about the tree, and you'll have to send us that photo so we can share it with everyone of your tree that you have watched develop over the years. So tell us about the tree.
okay, it's called the center of attention, and is what I called it because a friend actually named it. And it's basically a red tree that I'm not sure what variety it is, but in my jaunts to the pony pasture, I have three basic spots that I shoot from on a regular basis, and then elsewhere along the river whenever I can. But those three big rocks are basically rock one, two, and three that I call that are just various spots at pony pasture that I choose. And the center one, rock two, is where I found the center of attention. And it was basically a red tree stuck in among all the rest of the green. And it, I just hit it right one morning on a foggy morning, and it just blew me away that I actually got a shot like that.
Mhm.
So I entered it in a competition, and in fact, the Virginia magazine, wildlife magazine competition, and that took first place. And then it's done well in a couple of other competitions I've entered it too. So that was like the thing that really got me springboarded into doing this for more than just a hobby.
Right. Okay. And then another one that I recall of yours, and I think we've talked about, was your oh, it was the heron in the James River, wading into the James River, and you called that intent. What was the name of the
Heron with intent.
heron with intent? Okay, and
Basically, a heron in their usual stance of just very still, eyes on the water, waiting for the fish to get in the right position. So you know the heron's got intent. And it's actually quite a nice shot, and it's taken at pipeline. And I got very lucky. I decided to try a long exposure on it since the heron stands so still, and the motion of the water just happened to be beautiful, and the light hitting it gorgeous, and it came together to be a really nice shot.
yeah, the light was just absolutely fabulous that day. Now that was early morning. About what time did you get them?
I shoot two times a day, early in the morning, then late in the afternoon. And
Right.
that was a sunrise shot at Pipeline. So walking along the pipeline, along the rail section, in fact. And
Yeah.
the bird had gone to the backside of, if you're familiar with the pipeline, you have the riverside, then you have the backside that backs up to the buildings that are built up there. And the bird had moved over to that backside and was fishing along that portion of the river that goes back there. And it was just at the right height to have good motion and flow back there. So it wasn't real low, but it wasn't super high either.
Hmm.
And I got lucky. I think it was like about a 1 second exposure, something to that effect.
And it was nice of the heron to cooperate and stand still for that whole time.
They do. They just,
Yeah.
it's amazing how still they stand.
Yeah, yeah, they're great hunting machines, that's for sure.
Yes, they are.
So, what we mentioned a couple of these, but what are some of the other challenges that you faced in your photography? Um,
But the only challenges I've really had has been basically trying to make a living at this stuff while I have fun doing it for myself as well.
mhm.
Because making the living part was the hard part.
So, with that in mind, what advice might you give some of our members who are looking to move their hobby, if you will, up a level to maybe start to earn some money with their photography? Any sage advice you can pass along?
Yeah, the sage advice I give them would be to basically work hard at learning how to light people, because that's going to be where you're going to make money if you're going to make money in the business any longer. Um, the number of people in this field has grown to the point where becoming professional has become difficult. If you love doing weddings, you can probably still do that and make some money at it. But full-time photographers making a living, I think, are having a difficult time these days.
Mhm.
Um, that's why I prefer, and I'm glad I'm semi-retired and I take something when it's tossed at me, but I'm not going looking for it any longer. And I'm having fun for the first time in a long time with it now, doing what feels good rather than what I have to do to make money.
So what's next for you? You mentioned you're semi-retired, but do you have any personal goals or photography goals, or where are you headed next?
Um, I've been lucky to meet a lot of my photography goals over the years, and it was always about just becoming a good photographer and learning how to be a good photographer, because this did not come naturally to me. Art does not come naturally to me, and the only art I see in my work is that lucky shot I get when I happen to be at the right place at the right time with the right light, and the equipment works, right? So that's basically it. And having had, and I've got to say this, I have been blessed to have been in the field of photography with a photo lab, because that gave me the opportunity to work with a lot of professionals here locally that were doing corporate work and portrait work and other things like this. And they thought nothing of critiquing my work and telling me to throw this in the trash versus that is okay. You can keep that one, but throw everything else away. And unfortunately, I didn't listen to them about throwing everything away, so I still got too much junk. But I'm in the.
Now, you've done a lot of critiquing for us at the Camera Club. What part of that do you enjoy? Hopefully you do enjoy it since you've done it so much for us. But what's your philosophy and your thoughts on helping other photographers, mentoring, critiquing, that sort of thing?
Well, the main thing is I hope that what I say makes sense and that people don't take offense at what I say. My style is based upon how I was taught by professionals who came through and looked at my images on light boxes and would literally go there and just go, throw that one away, throw that one away, throw that, and just one right after the other. And now that might have possibilities, and that's the last one there.
Mhm.
So they were very hard on me and critiquing my work. And I tried to do somewhat similar for other people, because that's the way I was blessed to learn. Was you can get it close to right, but that doesn't mean it's good. You've got to get it right for it to be really a good image. And
Mhm.
of course, I still keep my criteria a little wider than that for myself. But anyway, um, I'm hoping that what we do is about the learning, because that's the way I learned, was people being extremely hard on me and showing me how, and I had done this or that or the other, and moving this way or that way, or approaching the subject differently, or waiting just a split second for the action to be different before hitting the shutter, instead of just pointing, shooting, and then hoping I got something.
Mhm.
Yeah. And at first, that's a lot of what I did, was just point and shoot and hope I got something. But as I got better, I learned to move to a little bit better location, or wait for the light to be just right. Yeah. If people have question about anything, I'm more than happy to talk to them and share whatever I can with them, because that's the way I learned, was so many people sharing with me what their thoughts were and their you know evaluations were of my work. So
Mhm.
that's I was blessed to have that opportunity. And you know I do get lucky and get a few good shots, but I don't see myself as a great photographer. I see myself as somebody who tries hard and gets lucky a lot. So
Yeah, there you go. That's what it's all about. Well, we certainly always look forward to your evaluations, because we know that it's going to be concise and accurate and insightful. And you know, Even if you don't like some of my pictures, that's okay.
It's not a question of whether I like them or not. It's a question of how we can approach it to make it a little better. That's
To
what
make
I'm
it better. That's right.
saying.
We're always learning, and hopefully we're always looking for that extra bit that's going to take us one step better to being a better photographer.
I consider myself a great photographer. Sometimes I get a good shot, but I am not a great photographer. You know, I'm lucky sometimes. Sometimes I actually make the shot because I've taken the time to do the prior to the things that need to be done to get there. And that's only because I've missed so many times. I damn well better do it right this time to get it. You know,
Exactly.
because
All
if you
right.
saw my pile of slides I've thrown away over recent years, you'd understand.
Wow. Yeah. All right. Well, we certainly appreciate your time and sharing some insights with us. And as we said, you're our inaugural spotlight. So we wanted to spotlight you to kind of coincide with this upcoming evaluation that you're going to do for us. And we appreciate everything you've done for the club over the years. And so thank you, David.